everybody. Looks like my frame rate is a little bit lower. I'm trying out a new technology, so I apologize for my tardiness. I'm trying out new stuff, but I don't know if I like it because the frame rate seems to be very low. I've incorporated Polypop into my stream, so trying to figure out how all of that works. So I apologize again for my tardiness. I hope you guys can hear me. I hope it's not, you don't hear two of me. Please let me know if you can hear me okay and see me okay. And if not, then I'll see if I can fix it. But welcome everybody to my stream. This is my live stream Q&A that I try to do once a week. If you don't know who I am Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator. And my channel is dedicated to all of you who are just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some techniques and tips and tricks that I see or use every day in my own voiceover business, and I answer your questions. If you guys can let me know if everything looks and sounds okay, I would appreciate it. It looks like, okay, good. I'm trying to watch my own channel on my phone because I want to make sure that, yeah, the video is laggy for sure. I think that so far is the only thing that I don't like. But I've incorporated Polypop because it does some really cool like 3D animations. And I wanted to see what it would look like and if it was something, although it's not just straight Polypop, it's Polypop through OBS. So I'm thinking that there might be some of the web camera settings probably aren't right, but I spent a few hours yesterday playing with this to see if it would work. So I'm glad the audio is good, at least. It is very laggy though. I don't know. I'll have to figure out the camera settings. So I apologize if I'm laggy. It's not intentional. Okay, so as you know, if you've been here before, you know that there is a poll that I ask every week. And this week the poll is, and it was inspired by the very first question that was asked in the chat. And that was in regards to revisions. So the poll today is, do you offer free revisions with your voiceover jobs? And the options for answers are yes, 1 to 2, yes, unlimited, and no, revisions are an extra cost. And I think this is, again, something that is personal to you. I mean, it's your business. You decide what you want to do. But I think offering revisions to a client can be a slippery slope because you have to set the expectation. If you do in fact offer revisions to a client, you have to set the expectation of what that revision entails. What exactly does a revision mean? So, for example, for my revision policy, it is if there is a need for a change in pace and tone for up to, X amount of words, 200 words, 100 words, 300 words. But you also include in your revision statement that changes to the script are not revisions to your voiceover job. Your voiceover job is exactly what they had sent over at contract start, which is the script, the pace and tone that they suggest or ask you for, right? So any revisions to the script require an additional take, a complete re-record, right? So that would be an additional cost. So there's a fine line there, and you do have to explain it to your clients. So if you're on a website, a platform like Fiverr, like Upwork, where you can put in a revision policy, I highly recommend that you do that so you can refer back to that, like as a FAQ. What is your revision policy? Make sure that yours is clearly outlined up front so your client understands the expectation. And if they don't, again, you can refer back to it to help them answer any questions they may have about your revision policy. I know of a few brand new voiceover artists that offer unlimited free revisions. I think it's something that we need to be unified on, to be honest. And I know that it's challenging getting started, and there's a lot of people with a lot of different ideas in regards to how they want to run their business, and I completely respect that. But I think revision policy is one thing that we need to be at least closely, unified on, in terms of what defines a revision and should it cost anything. So that's my 2 cents, but I'd be interested to learn what you guys think is a good revision policy. All right, so we got a lot of people here today. Well, thank you guys. Thank you everyone for joining me today and for putting in some chat questions. Okay. And again, if you're just joining, I apologize for the laggy video. I'm trying out some new technology. I don't think I have it quite right yet, so please bear with me. But let's hop over to the chat. Excuse me. And the first question was regards to revisions. And so I think that was a good thing to talk about because revisions are inevitable, right? At some point in time, they're going to be inevitable. And again, I wouldn't take revisions personally. If a client asks you for a revision, you can't know what's in their head, right? You're only depending upon what they're telling you that they want, and they sometimes don't really know what they want. So that is another reason why, if it's a short script and the script intent or like the purpose could go one of two ways, I'll typically provide 2 different takes in the 2 different tones that I think are appropriate, right? But don't take a revision personally. It's just the client maybe not quite sure how to articulate what it is that they need. Okay, let's get on to the rest of the questions here. We got Kenny M here. Good morning, Kenny. Thank you for joining. Andy B is here. Hello, Andy. Andy B says, with each job, contract is essential with everything spelled out. Would you agree? I completely agree. I agree. I think having expectations set up front for your client is beneficial for both you and for the client, so they know exactly what to expect and you know exactly how to deliver it, right? Any review on the Lewitt? No, I just got caught up, so I'm hoping maybe today or tomorrow. Excuse me. I think I can get some time in here to test out that Lewitt. I know I keep saying that. I know. But it's been pretty busy. It's a good problem to have, right? When range is talked about, is that the same as tone? It could be. I mean, range is another one of those words that could be. It could encompass several different things. It could encompass your character range, in terms of age. It could refer to tone. It could refer to pace. Range is one of those words that could be used for lots of different things. So it could be applicable to tone, among other things, right? Michael V says, good morning, good afternoon, Angela from Connecticut. Thank you for joining, Michael V. And then Andy B says, what would recommend for charges or not for revisions? I keep in mind my heroes in spoken word, Bob and Ray and Dick and Bert, and the adventures of Chicken Man. The Adventures of Chicken Man? I don't know if I'm familiar with Chicken Man. What you charge for a revision, if it's a script change, I typically go with, if a client has already placed an order with you, if you already have a contract in progress with a client, I typically will prorate, changes to scripts or pickups. Anything additional, I tend to prorate for them. But having, again, all of that spelled out in your revision policy will make it a lot easier on you and your client in the beginning. Mark Flores says, sounds good and looks good. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for that. I know that the video is a little bit laggy. I can see it. It looks a little bit funny, like fuzzy almost. But I'm glad the audio is at least good. Chris is here. Hi, Chris. Good morning. I know you told me how to pronounce your name. Is it Natalie? Natalie? I'm sorry if I got that wrong again. My memory is garbage. Hi, good morning, afternoon, Angela. The audio is perfect. Good. John Popovich says, good morning, Angela and everyone. I think to offer one free revision is good customer service, especially if you're just starting out in VO. It is, and I offer one revision with every job, but you have to spell out what that revision entails. What does revision mean to you and to the client? What does it mean to them? So again, I think spelling out in the beginning, setting that revision expectation is going to save you a whole lot of trouble, I think. Molly Bolton says, hi, Angela. Do you set daily goals for yourself? If you do, what are they? I have an agenda, like an agenda book that's in front of me on my desk every day that I write down things that I need to get done. Because let me just backtrack and say that your to-do list could be goals, right? So you could break down your to-do list. For example, if you have a goal of 3 auditions a day, right? And that could be for voices.com, it could be for ACX, it could be whatever it is. And then you have jobs that need to get done, say an audiobook. You can write down on your agenda book as goals for the day, 3 auditions, 5 chapters in this audiobook, or edit 5 chapters in this audiobook, whatever it is. I think your to-do list can be broken down as small individual goals for the day. And because really your goals and your to-do lists could be almost the same, because you're writing down what's most important, right, to get done during the day. So those could be your goals. However, I think for me, now that I'm saying it out loud, I think to me, your to-do list are things that are non-negotiables, right? Because they need to get done. They're not necessarily goals. So now that I think about it, I think apart from my to-do list, I think I do have additional goals, things that I would like to get done for the day. Ultimately, my goal is to mark everything off my to-do list every day, right? But there are always little things or other things that I want to add to my day to get done for future benefit, right? Little seeds that you plant today will definitely sprout in the future. So that's a very good question. I think I'm confusing my to-do list with my goals too much. I think I mesh them together too much. But just getting everything done, and I write everything down again. I write down everything that I need to get done for the day on my agenda list, and then I mark them off as I go. So I guess those could be goals, but those are also non-negotiables. Now, my train is derailing, and I'm going down the rabbit hole on goals. But to answer your question simply, yes, to get everything done on my to-do list every day, plus some other things that might be negotiable, right? Like things that don't have to get done, but I would like to get done. I hope that makes sense. Andre says the sound is a bit quiet. Okay. Let me just see here. Can I adjust my sound? That's up all the way. Let me check. Can I change? I don't know. I don't want to mess with anything. I think I'd have to play with Polypop a little bit because it looks like my mic is live in Polypop. Oh, I can. Oh, the volume's like all the way up. Let me see. I don't know if I can change it. It doesn't look like it goes any higher. But I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on Polypop. Again, it's like a beta thing that had just come out, and it's really cool with like 3D animations that come across the screen. So I'm not going to tell you what the triggers are because I want to see if they should, in theory, as soon as there's a specific chat message that comes up, it should trigger an animation. And then, of course, a super chat. If a super chat comes in, it should trigger an animation. But I'm not going to tell you what the chat message is. I just want to see if it works. So if it just, if I can't fix the lagginess and the volume of the microphone, I don't know if I'm going to use Polypop through OBS. I might just use Polypop and try that next time, but on its own, and just see what happens. So this is a test episode, so bear with me. My goodness, I lost my spot. Thank you guys so much for chatting. I'm surprised about the lag because of the beast of a machine you have. I don't know if it's my machine. I think it's really just something in the settings that I haven't set up right. When you don't have settings in this streaming service and this streaming service, and then your camera is not really up to snuff either. I know it's a DSLR, but I think there's something not meshing. That is something that I probably didn't connect or set right, I think is what it is. Kirk says the lag is not horrible, but noticeable. Yeah, I noticed it too. It's a little laggy, especially if I move around. It's very laggy. And please keep saying Polypop. It's making me smile. It is a fun word to say, right? Polypop. Shannon says, hello from Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks for offering this info. Thank you for joining, Shannon. I appreciate you coming in and hanging out and spending some time with us. Rockin' Dave Byron says, greetings from Southwest Florida, new subscriber here. Well, thank you. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much. Question. I'm a professional gigging guitarist down here, and we have an on-off season. So I'm thinking about adding music to Upwork for narration. Yes, I think that's a great idea. Also, Fiverr. And there's a handful of other gig economy type websites that I think would be very beneficial for you also, just to offer that particular type of service. Freelancing is the way of the future. I think that's where a lot of us are going to go. So the sooner you can have a presence on a freelance website, the better, for sure. Shannon Kendrick says, I agree with what you're saying. If the revision is due to their mistake, and not because of something you did, then they should pay for that revision. Absolutely, because that's a whole new recording session, right? And sometimes it's not always a mistake. I mean, yeah, sometimes they omit a word or they add a word or they change the phrasing of a sentence, but sometimes they change the business name. It's the weirdest thing. I've done like phone message recordings that they've decided on a whole different business name halfway through. And for that, I've got to re-record it. It's not a revision. It's not an oopsie or something that I was not informed of up front, right? So that's a re-record. That is an additional charge. Laura says, how do you educate the buyer on these fine lines of revision requests? I don't think they all read the FAQs. Do you add it also in the requirements? I agree with you. I don't think that they always read the FAQs or the descriptions or all of the information about everything they need to know up front. I think a lot of times they just listen to our voices and check the pricing and see if it's, going to fit within their budget, and then they press order. So I did add to my requirements on Fiverr. I'm assuming we're talking about Fiverr, but I added to my requirements in the very first question. When a client places an order, they have the questions that pop up for them. In that very first question, I asked them to attach their script, and then I also give them a heads up. Basically, I say, please attach your final version of your script. Please note that any changes to the script will occur or incur additional charges. So I have that verbiage in the very first question, and there's no getting past that unless you allow them to skip the requirements, right? If it's like a custom offer and you can toggle that little switch to skip the requirements, I never do that. I always have every single buyer fill out the requirements because that way they can't say I didn't see it, right? Shannon says, is there a warm-up routine you could recommend? A warm-up routine for me, is just tongue twisters and really just stretching out, stretching out your whole body, stretching out your face, your jaw, your tongue. Tongue twisters really get to warm up. Do some trills, in different pitches. I do a full body warm up because you have to be relaxed. You have to be loose and relaxed to do voiceover. You can't be, all super tense because it comes through. How you're feeling definitely comes through in your voiceovers. John Baradell says, being in the construction industry for many years, some clients ask for a quotation or estimate. Are there many that will ask for something that is not on the estimate? I was also in the construction industry for about, how long was I there? Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. I used to build animal exhibits for zoos and aquariums, and I did that for about 5 or 6 years, I think, roughly. So construction brethren. There are many that will ask for something that's not on the estimate. If it's not on the estimate, then I would definitely offer an addendum. It's an add-on. It's something else that wasn't on the original invoice or estimate, and they're asking for something additional, then there's going to be an additional cost. And I don't know if there's any website where, like Upwork, Fiverr, Voices.com, I don't know if there's any of those websites that you can't do that you can't amend the job and adjust the invoice accordingly. Then you continue on. Some clients will continue to add things in an attempt to get work for free. I add a clause that any extra work will be charged at a standard fee. It's a controversial issue at times. It is. And a lot of people are going to try to slip things in. I've had people try that a few times. But there's always, for additional work, there's going to be an additional charge. Unless it's like a long-term client, if they've been with you for a long time, they consistently order like every couple of months or every month or every week even, you might want to cut them a break, right? Because they come back to you. You have a relationship that you're building with them, but that's a case by case. But most often, if they're asking for additional work, there's an additional charge, right? Natalie says yes. Oh, thank God. I remembered that I wasn't pronouncing it right. Andy B says, I scrolled too far. Oh my goodness. Comparing viewing on my phone versus the PC lags behind the smartphone. Would you discourage using Excel to keep track of clients and jobs? I would not discourage that. I would say use whatever works for you, right? Use an Excel spreadsheet if you want to. There's also, we talked about last week, there's voiceoverview.com. It's a voiceover specific CRM, which I have used, but it was years ago. And I know there's a lot of people that still use it. And it's got a lot of great information and tracking abilities for voiceover artists specifically. So that could be another option for you. However, there is a cost. When I signed up a few years ago, I want to say, don't quote me, but I want to say it was about $10 a month. I'm not sure what it is now. But even if it is $10 a month, that's still, in the scheme of things, that's really not that much of an expense to keep track of all of that information. But if you're computer savvy and you can actually make Excel spreadsheets, then you might want to offer that as a gig to other voiceover artists to help build that. Light bulb. Um, Pritchard's Book Cafe says, "Hi everyone, Stephen from St. Joe. I'm very new at this, as you know. Who creates the contract to myself or home? Or who creates the contract?" It depends on where you find the work. There's a few websites that you can work through that have standard verbiage through their website, like in their terms of service for working through them. If it's a direct client, they contact you directly, you're going to have to provide a contract, or at least the verbiage, that covers. You might want to seek out an attorney or somebody to help you write one up, but you definitely want to cover revisions, usage rights, all of that stuff. But I would say in the very beginning, most of your work is going to come from job sites like voices.com, Badalgo, Fiverr, Upwork, and all of that is typically incorporated into their terms of service. Andy B says, for backup, I have huge internal drives, but also an 8 terabyte external that automatically saves. That's cool. Do you recommend saving raw files? I typically save raw files and finished files, mainly for audiobooks, locally on my computer until the book is done. It's in retail, it's being sold. I don't have to do anything else with it. And then I move it off to external storage. I do save everything that I've done because you never know when you might need it, you might need to reference it. You might have a client that purchased something from you a year ago and they need to make amends. And if you want to pull it from that hard drive and make a revision to it, you can do that, or re-record the whole entire thing. It's a case-by-case thing, but I keep everything that I've done on external hard drives. I do recommend that. Blaze is here. Good morning, Blaze. Blaze has entered the building. Hope you're doing well, darling. Thinking about you. Natalie says, I have a tiny accent. It's not too bad, but I'm wondering if that will put future clients off. Will it be difficult to get jobs because of it? I think it really depends on what your accent is. If it's like a Southern accent, I know a few voice artists that do fairly well, although they say that they don't. I think they do okay with a Southern accent. If you can target niches that are looking like local places in your local area that have the same accent, that could be like a good little niche for you. If it's like a British accent, like a country, and not a regional, but like a larger, like a, I can't think of the word. I think if you can manage to learn a new accent, like meaning if you could do a British accent and an American accent, for example, or an Irish accent or something else, I think you would have a lot more doors open for you. But I don't think if you have an accent and that's all you can do is just your one native accent, I don't think that's definitely going to be a hindrance for you at all. Because again, voice actors represent the world. We represent everyone, every person, all shapes and sizes, in the world. So there is a need for every single voice, every accent, every age group, every, so a put off for anybody really. I'm sorry, I'm trying to multitask here and make sure everything is still running smoothly. Brandon, hey Brandon. Hi Angela, first time, long time. We love you here in Santa Carla. Attack of Eddie Munster. Brandon and I were chatting about The Lost Boys last night in our Facebook group. Great movie, classic. That's right. No one touches the second shelf but me. That's where I keep my root beers and my double thick Oreo cookies. Right? VoiceOverAngela. Is it Anya? Anya? Nice name. Reminds me of somebody else's. Hello, Angela from Malaysia. Finally got to join your live streaming. I've been following your channel for 6 months, and thanks for all the valuable information shared. I appreciate it very much. Oh, well, thank you for watching. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate all of you. But we're glad to have you in our little community here, and thank you for joining. Mark Flores says, had some great thumbnails made by a seller on Fiverr and updated my demos and everything on all my gigs. Also had someone reach out this morning for an audiobook job, so things are looking good. That's great. Anytime that you update anything on Fiverr, I find that it could be good, it could be bad, because essentially anytime that you're changing anything on a gig, it resets you in the algorithm. So, but I just did the same thing. I just updated all my thumbnails, refreshed all my demos, tweaked pricing a little bit in a couple places, and my impressions are still up. Job placement has gone down a bit. Excuse me. The frog returns. But we'll see. I'm going to give it a little bit of time to see what happens with all of those changes. I'm not hitting the panic button yet. I got to let the algorithm do its thing, settle down, and we'll see what happens. Lost my place again. You know what? Let's check the poll really quick like. We got 27 votes right now, and today's poll was, do you offer free revisions with your voiceover jobs? 85% of you said yes, 1 or 2. Yes, unlimited at 4%. And no, revisions are an extra cost at 11%. I'm actually kind of surprised by the answers a little bit, because I thought it would have been a little bit more evenly divided between yes, 1 to 2, and no, revisions are an extra cost. So, but that's cool. I offer 1 free revision, but again, you have to set the expectation and define what a revision means. What does a revision mean? Does it mean change in pace and tone up to a set amount of words? Otherwise, because if you don't put that caveat in there, then the client might just want you to redo the entire script. So you have to be sure that your revision policy, it's one of the most important FAQs that you can have anywhere, is your revision policy. And then also, change in script is not a revision to the job that you had already delivered, right? You've already delivered the job as specified as the order was placed or the contract was started. Any changes to the script should be an additional fee because it's a complete re-record most of the time, right? But I get it, because a free revision can definitely give the buyers a little bit more confidence in choosing you. So I understand it, but definitely be clear with your revision policies. Robert Palmore says, almost missed it again, but you didn't. To avoid lagging video, no twerking. I'm going to try. I don't think I even have the room in here for twerking, and I don't know if I can twerk. I'm a little old for twerking, I think. Molly Bolton says, when you first started your voiceover business, did you start at multiple sites or just one? That's a great question. I started with ACX, and then after my first book on ACX, I found Fiverr, and then I found Upwork, and then I stuck with just those 3 for a long time. But there are literally 100 or more voiceover sites out there, or sites where you can find voiceover work. And it can be a little bit overwhelming to keep track of or to stay on top of all of the clients on all of those platforms, plus your email, plus your social media, right? So keep that in mind as you sign up for voiceover sites. It's great to be represented on multiple different sites online, because that helps people find you. It helps your business's SEO. But it can get a little bit overwhelming to stay on top of every client in every message and every email on every platform, right? It can get a little bit overwhelming. So in the beginning, I would start small. I would pick 2 or 3 at most and get the hang of it, get the feel for it, and then slowly start to put your name out there on other job sites, for sure. Laura Scarborough says, that's such a helpful answer. Thank you. Fiverr buyers seem to sometimes really abuse revisions, and we need to protect ourselves. Agreed. Agreed. And Robert Palmore says, brain fart spray. I don't know. Did I say brain fart? I don't know. Or am I lagging? I'm confused. But I saw my trigger word in the chat and nothing happened on the old Polypop. So there you go, Kurt, Polypop. So I don't know if it'll work through OBS. I'm very confused. But I can show you guys what it's supposed to do. If you type in the keywords into the chat, it's supposed to do this. And I didn't see it do it unless you guys saw it. So I don't know. We'll see. Let's see if it, I'm watching there's a little bit of a lag. Let's see if it does it on the screen here. Oh, maybe, oh, yep, there it goes. Yeah, it's supposed to do that. Okay, so I don't know, but Polypop is pretty cool. I just need to figure out how to get it to work. All right. Focus, 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 grasshopper. Michael V says, now you've gotten trying to think of phrases that they're going to get trigger Polypop. Yeah, but now you know what it looks like, but I'm not going to tell you what the trigger words are. Although I should, because we need to test it, right? I don't know if it was the capitalization or punctuation. I don't know if any of that matters, but again, we're trying new technology today. We'll see how it goes. VoiceOver Van Deen, you brought the frog with you today. Old school wall planner for daily accountability and monthly goals, plus a daily to-do list for jobs tasks. I know I'm late, but I've got a note, honest. I'd like to see your note, please. It's okay. You can come and go as you want to. I think that is a good idea, a daily wall, like a wall planner. I think I would have one in here because I do better when information is like right in my face, so I can see, you know, what I need to get done every day and then cross it off because it's so gratifying to cross stuff off. But I don't know, in this room, I think it might cause a reflection and just add to echo, and I don't want to do that. But I think having something in front of your face, instead of having to hunt for it on your desktop or, you know what I mean, or a sticky note, I think having something that you can write on, like an agenda or a board, like a whiteboard in front of you, is very helpful for keeping on top of things that you have to do every day and then marking them off. Because again, that's so gratifying. And you need the little wins. You need to celebrate the little wins every day. Gosh, we went through time really, really fast. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of these other questions here. Sean Lester 007 says, I get my VO work in batches. Sometimes the genre is outside of my usual style, and I ask for feedback on the first one. If I need to revise, that is okay, since it prevents the need on the next 7. Yes, that is another great thing that you can do. Just like ACX, where you offer up the first 15 minutes for the client to review before you finish the remainder of the book. That's something else that you can do. If you have a large project, you can send the client the first section to see if they like the tone and pace. And then once they give you the thumbs up, then you continue on with the remainder. It's a good idea. Rockin' Dave Byron says, greetings from Southwest Florida, new subscriber here. I think we had already seen that one. Oh, is there a market for background instrumental music for narrator? I don't know for certain. I would say yes. I would say that most of the jobs that I do that have music added to them are meditations and audiobooks. I think as a excuse me, a freelance musician, you could also create music and then sell it to or license it to places like Storyblocks or, Some of the other websites where you can find royalty-free music, I think that could be another avenue for you. Same goes with photographers or videographers. If you can snap good pictures or take good video, you can license that stuff to places like Storyblocks, where they in turn offer a license to people to use that content, right? On a case-by-case basis. People download it, use it. So, I mean, there's not just for voiceover, but I think there's a lot of ways that you can market and make an income with your skill set as a musician. Rockin' Dave Byron says, "Love your content and honesty." Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. I try to keep it real, right? Robert Palmore says, "Keep everything good, but charge customers if they need to revise an old file. Costs you money to keep those files." Yeah, you're right. It does, for sure. Andy B says, would you say don't be afraid to ask for more money for add-ons, or if the word count does not? Yes, absolutely. I had that happen just the other day when someone had told me up front that a script was a certain word count. And then I asked for the script, and then the script was 8-9 times larger than they said it was. So I informed the client. I said, I'm losing my voice now. I said, the script word count is a bit higher than originally stated. It is actually X when you said it was Y. So obviously that's going to change the estimate. That's going to change the job amount, right? So then I sent them the new amount, and I haven't heard back from them. So I don't know if it was intentional or if it was a typo. I've had it go both ways. I've had people for like an audiobook estimate, someone had added an additional 0 to the word count, and it was very, very large. So I reached out to the rights holder or to the client and said, "Hey, did you mean to say this, or do you really have a book this size? Because this will take me a good year to get through." And they were like, "Oh my God, I added an additional 0. So it does happen. It does happen, but definitely don't be afraid to ask for, or correct the offer, for sure. John Baradell says, "Double stuffed Oreo. Now I'm hungry." Alma says, "Hello, Angela. Alma here from New York. This question is more or less what was already addressed, which pertains to contract. Do you have to sign anything?" The only time I sign anything is when there's an NDA that's required. If they're like for a video game, for instance, the client doesn't want you discussing anything about or releasing any information about that video game until it's completely done and released. That is when I use like Adobe Acrobat, like the form, sign and fill out a form, and then just have like a preset signature in there and then sign it and then send it back. But that's really the only time that I sign anything digitally. Sean Lester 007 says, "The thorn in my side are scripts that haven't been edited or the writer isn't familiar with their topic. Do I need to reject it, or should I offer to revise the script for a fee?" You could offer proofreading. Most of us do. I think because a lot of our scripts that we see are from another language, and then they maybe use like a Google Translate or something like that. So maybe the grammar isn't exactly right for American English. So you could offer a proofreading service along with, like, for example, in Fiverr, you could offer a gig add-on for proofreading for X amount of words for X amount of money. You absolutely could. Brandon says, "My son is really into this podcast he found on iTunes that is done by a larger company called Wondery that does these types of things and seems like the kind of gig I'd love to do. So my question is," continued on here, "have you ever pursued a company that you wanted to do vocal work for? One that you really don't know where or how they get their actors? I've checked their site, found some folks on LinkedIn, but..." I personally have not, but I have heard of other voice actors that have. a handful of them, that wanted to work with a specific company, found a commercial of theirs on YouTube or on their website, and then revoiced it and then sent that back to them at what their commercial with their voice on it. And there have been some good outcomes I've heard from that. The client would reach out and say, hey, thanks, this is awesome. And I think there was actually opportunity to work with that company after that. So I would definitely say do that if that's what you want to do. You can find company information like who to contact through LinkedIn, or you could just do it and then post it. Well, I don't know if I would post it on social media, but you could send it directly to them. Yeah, but I would. In terms of podcast, yeah, definitely reach out to them and say, hey, I'm a voice actor. I love your show. I would definitely like to be part of it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. Michael V says, I so look forward to these Tuesdays. They're informative and fun. Well, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one having fun, although it's hot and it's already 93 degrees, 9 o'clock in the morning, or almost 10 o'clock in the morning. It's getting warm in here, people. Molly Bolton says, do you remember your very first audiobook? Yes. How long was it? It was, I think I got the offer for the book about a month after joining ACX and auditioning. I don't remember how many auditions I did, but I think this particular client found me from my samples that I had uploaded. And it was 80,000 words. It was an 8-hour audiobook for royalty share. And at that point, I didn't care how I was getting paid. I just wanted to get into audiobooks. I just wanted to get started. So that was my very first audiobook. Brandon says, yes, Angela said brain fart. Yes, Han absolutely shot first. I don't remember saying brain fart. Did I say brain fart? Sorry. John Baradale says, put a whiteboard on the wall with a cover so you can prevent any reflection. That's a good idea. And then you would have to lift it up to write on it, though, right? That might be too labor intensive for me. I need the information right in my eye line to stay on top of it. But that's a good point. You could put a cover on it. Andy B says, would it be ill-advised to avoid Fiverr because of the many low-ballers that tend to take advantage of newbies? The amount of traffic through that site is mind-boggling. There is a lot of traffic through Fiverr. And there are a lot of big companies that source work through Fiverr. And it's getting to the point where just about any website that you're on, you're going to get low-ballers, or what you call low-ballers. There are people that are maybe uneducated about how voiceover works, what the rates are, what they should be, right? So it is your job as a professional in these situations to educate these people. Now, if they're already educated on what it should be, yet they're looking for bulk discounts, that's another thing. But you have to just maybe politely bow out and say no thank you and then move on. Or you could take the job. I'm never going to deter anybody from making $1 if they need to, right? But in the end, you do what's best for your business. But there are people that are uneducated about certain aspects of the voiceover industry, just about every single website. So you just have to mind your P's and Q's and be smart and be polite. Treat clients like how you would want to be treated, unless they're crude, rude, threatening, harassing, then definitely report and block those. But you're going to find people who try to get a little bit extra or stretch their dollar, is a nice way of putting it, just about anywhere that you're available for work. And that goes for any freelance industry. So it's not just us. Klaus Kusero, classical guitar, says, hi, Angela. Hello from Germany. Hello, hello. Sorry for my long absence. Yeah, you're right. You haven't been here for a few weeks, have you? I'll write a mail soon regarding the special microphone video I mentioned some weeks ago. Oh, yeah, that would be great. Yeah, if you could, that would be great. NF. I'm not sure what that means. Rockin' Dave Byron, not Brian, Byron says, thanks for the advice. Since I'm a live performer, what is wrong with my mouth today? I need more coffee. Thanks for the advice. Since I'm a live performer, this is so new to me. I really do appreciate it. Well, you're very welcome, Rockin' Dave Byron. Nigel Franklin says, I hate to advertise my ignorance, but I see some beginner videos talking about removing DC offset. Do I need to worry about that? I use a USB mic. A DC offset? I'm not sure what you're referring to on your microphone. Most USB mics are just plug and play. I don't recall when I used a USB mic. I don't recall having to really do anything to the microphone itself. Most of those are just really just plug and play. I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to, Nigel. Removing the DC offset. Rockin' Dave Byron says, you rock. No, you rock. You rock, Dave. All right, guys. All right, so we've got about 5 minutes left or so. Let's go back up to the poll really quick. We got 32 votes. And again, today's poll was, do you offer free revisions with your voiceover jobs? 88% of you said yes, 1 to 2. 3% say yes, unlimited. And 9% say no, revisions are an extra cost. How I really thought that would, I guess I'm not alone in adding or offering one free revision. But again, whatever you choose to offer for your business in terms of revisions, just be sure that it's clearly outlined what that revision entails. What does revision mean to you for each job? All right, let's see. Melinda Padoff says, hello, Angela. I finally got you live. Editing a 10-hour audiobook at the moment, needed a break. Well, come and take a break with us for the last couple of minutes. I try to keep these to an hour because my camera turns off after an hour, or a little over an hour. So I am getting a new webcam. I don't know if I'm going to continue to use this DSLR. My thought process was to streamline everything. I would like to use Polypop, but I don't know if I can get it to work correctly without using Polypop directly instead of OBS. But then I'm gonna have to figure out how to do the intros and outros. I don't know. It sounds like it's overwhelming, but we'll see. Let's see. Let's see. Where am I at? Oh, but I'm glad that you joined us for a little bit of a break. That's a lot of work. Blaze says, I'm going to have to be a fly-by-night VO, worried about actual clients versus practice. I won't be able to make many deadlines working 7 to 7 minimum Friday. Monday through Friday? Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I could tell you, Blaze, that my schedule was similar when I was employed for someone else or when I worked for someone else. And I did it. It was hard, but you can do it too. You might have to make some sacrifices, maybe slow down the business a little bit, be more selective in what you can do, but you can do it. You've got this, Blaze. I have absolute faith in you. Kirk says, don't forget to tickle Angela's algorithm and like this video or like this stream. Kirk! Why is that so funny? Kenny M says, I would think getting an early start on learning how to recognize, handle, and work with around low ballers would be a good thing. Yes. And the best way to do that is to be exposed to them, unfortunately, because then you get an idea of, how they typically word things and how they come across. And yeah. John says, 36 watching, 17 likes. Come on, people. Lick the thumbs up button, please. I would appreciate it if you hit the like button. I don't know about licking it. Our phones aren't the cleanest. Come on, people. I don't know. I wouldn't advise licking, but at least hit the like button. I would definitely appreciate that. Jim Ashbrook says, do you have a coach that you work with? If so, how often? I had a coach for a year. That was Anthony Pica. I met with him once a month. Was it once a month? Was it once a month or once a week? Maybe it was once a week. Oh my God. That was a couple of years ago. I think I met with him once a week for a year. And he taught me everything about my acting abilities, about my DAW, about different platforms to find work on, everything. And it was so worth the investment. I'm much more confident now having a coach, or having had a coach, for sure. Michael V says, DC offset is a mean amplitude displacement from zero. DC offset is a potential source of clicks, distortion, and loss of audio volume. I haven't had to do any of that in the beginning. My mic was just plug and play. I did perhaps change some of the settings in my DAW to match the microphone, because I think some of those come with a pretty much a standard sample rate. Now that I say that out loud, I don't know if that's exactly true or if I'm thinking of the right thing, because your interface is different from the USB mic, because you don't need an interface if you have a USB mic. I haven't had to change anything, nor have I heard of anybody doing that with a USB mic, so I'm not quite sure if that makes any kind of difference. VoiceOver Van Deen says, DC offset is where the center of the waveform is above or below the zero line by an amount. Yeah, I definitely haven't had to change anything. No, I haven't had to change that at all. Brandon says, polypop, 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 polypop. Here, I'm just going to do it. Here, you guys can have some hearts. I don't know why it's not working, but they're pretty cool. I mean, the polypop is really cool. If you don't know what it is, take a look at it. It's free, open source, like broadcasting software like OBS, but it has 3D animations that you can incorporate. Again, I don't think my settings are quite exactly right, but because the video looks a little poopy, but I'll figure it out. But it's pretty cool. It does a lot of animation stuff. Blaze says, if you can do it, so can I. Absolutely. Absolutely, Blaze. And I have absolute faith in you. Brandon says, Kirk, you got me rolling. Yeah, Kirk. You're so naughty, Kirk. Thank you, Brandon. LOL. Hey, Blaze, Kirk says. All right, last couple questions, and I got to go before we just cut off by my camera. Melinda says, you and Anthony are my go-to for information and inspiration. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Melinda. Yeah, Anthony is awesome. Nigel Franklin says, is there a preferred order of operations for editing? I.e., should noise reduction come first and then normalization, or should I worry about quieting clicks first? Is there a PEMDAS? I know that's an acronym for something, but I'm not sure what for VO work. I know a lot of people will tell you, there's audio engineers that will tell you different things. I think everybody has a different sort of way that they do things. I think and I always say this, but do what works best for you or how you sound best. But in my mind, I try to remove the bad first and then enhance the good. That may be wrong, but that's what works for me. So I would remove noise, like ambient noise in the room, and then focus on the plosives and mouth clicks, and then add a little bit of compression and EQ. That is the order that makes me sound the best. But I would definitely, if you really want to perfect your sound, I would definitely reach out to an audio engineer that can help you with your specific DAW and helping you to sound the best that you can. And they also typically help with mic placement, room treatment, all of that stuff, give you ideas on how to treat your room. So an audio engineer can definitely help you out in that respect, probably a whole lot better than I could. Spazia says, thank you, Angela, for sharing your knowledge. Thank you. And Blaze says, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally regularly. Please excuse my dear. Oh, for the acronym. I gotcha. Not that I know of. I don't know if there is an acronym for that. I was never taught one. But again, I think it's doing what works best for you is good. And there are quite a few audio engineers on YouTube. I bet you if you're already on YouTube, but after the stream is over, not right now, when the stream is over, search for audio and then whatever DAW you have. So audio, maybe audio effects or EQ in Adobe Audition or Reaper or whatever it is that you use. I bet you a bajillion videos come up with audio engineers giving you ideas. It's a little memory tool for remembering order of operations for math problems. Yeah, math and I don't get along. So I was probably asleep that day when it was taught. But that's a cute acronym. All right, guys, I got to go before my camera just cuts us off. So what I'm going to do is just give you guys another little burst of hearts, and then we are going to call it for today. Thank you, everybody who joined. I appreciate you, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.